What's going on, everybody? Dr. Chris here. Bill Apter here.
Yeah.
This is UnSKripted. We are going to have some fun just like we do each and every day. Before we get to the audience ready to rock and roll, to give us some topics to talk about, let me check in, man. Bill, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm good. Everything's good. Great to be here with you. And again, I always thank you every week for drafting me onto Sportskeeda's UnSKripted. And
Yes,
that's what
indeed.
we're all about. We never know what we're going to talk about.
That's right, man. That's right. It's one of my favorite shows of the week. Have a lot of fun every week, man. And yeah, UnSKripted, man. We don't know what we're talking about.
Since we're unscripted, I might as well go right into this.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a chance to watch NXT tonight?
No, man, I don't ever watch NXT. I just can't get into it. But I do. I'm on Facebook a lot, as you know, and so I keep up with NXT based on scrolling on Facebook. And
okay,
so
well, scrolling and trolling, but I watch NXT whenever I can, and I was a little upset tonight.
Okay,
and I'm wondering if the people out there, all our unscripted maniacs, brother, might feel the same way. I've had fight fever for Seth Rollins against Bron Breakker.
What was the finish?
Well, it was the beginning part. He retained the title, but the thing is, by 11:45, and the show ends at 11 o'clock. By 10:45 Eastern time, the match hadn't started yet. So I'm going, this is something that they've been talking about for a long time. And like I said, I had real fight fever for this. And Seth Rollins and his music and the fans, whoa. By the time the match started, there was like 8 minutes left or 9 minutes left. Mm-hmm. And, Seth got hurt again with his whole rib injury from the other night. He did wind up winning, but it was not the showcase that I wanted for Bron Breakker.
You think they should have saved it for a bigger stage?
Absolutely. I think they should have. I just don't think it showcased him the way I really wanted him. I mean, he looked so much like his dad, and he acts so much like his dad, but he's much bigger. And to me, he's someone who's like in the current league of like a Damien Priest, growing toward that really big prime spot.
Yeah.
But it just didn't hit me tonight. The rest of the show I thought was good, but they went over on so many matches that there was no time for the championship match.
What do you think of him as a heel? Do you think he's good as a heel, or do you think he's a bit miscast?
No, no, definitely bad guy. Definitely bad guy. I think
Okay.
he's terrific. He could probably go either, as we used to say in the magazines, rule breaker or fan favorite.
Mm,
But I would see him as a heel. I think he'd be
okay.
terrific. He's got an ad. He's got that Steiner attitude. But
Mm.
it's built into him. It really is.
But Rick was just Rick was better as a babyface, man. I remember Rick, in the Varsity Club when he was a heel, but to me, he had that dog face gremlin, just a lovable, huggable, just you know, ferocious,
Yeah.
salivating maniac. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
That was more of a Rick Steiner. Scott was better as a heel for sure because he had that cocky, brash arrogance to him. And
Which is his real personality, by the way.
yeah, I've heard. I've been around Scott before. I've known people, who's hanging around Scott. And that's a shoe. That's legit
Yeah.
who he is. But yeah, it's interesting because Braun is just really a combination of both of them in a way. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really
Yeah.
interesting. So I guess that's how he can go either way. Because when he was a babyface, for the most part, it was pretty solid. And the time that I did follow NXT, I haven't really like the rainbow splatter brand of NXT. I haven't really got into yellow black and gold. NXT was money to me, but I don't know, just not really haven't got into this one too much.
I
I think
hooked
when
into it
Ciampa
though
was,
tonight.
I
I
think when
really did.
Ciampa was champion, it's I think that's probably when I started drifting away from it. So
Well, he made his return to Raw uh,
yeah.
tonight as
Yeah.
well, and he got over really good. That whole maniac thing of his
Mhm.
really came out. But Baron Corbin is in NXT, and I think he's just kind of they're still trying to find a place to him for him. But I think periodically having major Raw or SmackDown talent going into NXT can do nothing but help them. I really do.
Hmm. I guess here's my pushback on. I mean, I guess here's my concern with that. It's not necessarily a pushback on what you're saying because I agree with what I agree with what you're saying.
Thank you.
My thing with that is it just appears, and again, you know more about NXT than I do right now. From what I see, that it just appears as if they're kind of separating the developmental from the main roster when they do that, because they come in for a little bit and then go back up, and then that doesn't really elevate the brand too much. That would
Hmm.
cause a few more eyes to go on the brand, but as soon as they leave, that doesn't really keep the eyes on the brand, as opposed to the black and gold NXT. They were legit like building stars, and the people who came back down NXT, like a Zack Ryder, like a Cesaro, like a Tyson Kidd,
Hmm.
those names, they actually stayed for a while, and actually it helped them become more established, and it really like the hype bros when him and Mojo, Matt uh, uh, Matt Zach
Cardona.
Ryder, Matt
Oh, Zach,
Cardona,
right? Yeah,
Zach
Matt
Ryder, yeah,
Cardona. Right.
yeah, Zach Ryder. He wasn't really doing much at the time, but the Hype Bros actually helped him. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he was actually doing. Tyson Kidd wasn't doing much, and being a really relevant name in NXT. But when an Apollo Crews came back in NXT, from the clips that I would see, he really didn't do much. I think he went against Braun for the title one time,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's really about it. I mean, he was still not real. I mean, he was losing to Grayson Waller and still wasn't really. He didn't really reestablish himself like
No.
the old NXT names used to. And then when they brought Shinsuke and Finn and Samoa Joe and Drew McIntyre and Bobby Roode, like they were bringing people in the brand, and that from outside of WWE, that was pushing up the brand to me.
Absolutely. It was like the old territories. Where's that guy going to
Absolutely.
show up
Yep.
next?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's a good way. That's a great way to explain it. It was like a territory type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I talked to Sergeant Slaughter yesterday.
yeah. Oh, you maggot. How'd that
Maggot.
go?
And we've got a video coming out, part of it, probably later this week or next week, where we talked a lot about the Iron Sheik and on the Lacey Evans situation with the Cobra Clutch and
Yeah.
what his real feelings are. So look out for that.
Very nice. Nice. All right. Of course, for those who do super chat, you get first precedent and the comment on the screen. Until then, we'll just peek over and see what we got. All right. What was your thoughts on Collision? And and the other part says, can we talk about how amazing it was? If we think it's amazing, we'll talk about it. What do you think, Bill? What do you think?
Oh, I watched the show. First of all, a lot of that show, the crowd was insane.
Mhm.
Those great fans in Chicago.
Yeah.
And CM Punk, of course, was the attraction on that show.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that for their sake, this will sustain. I think what they should do, and maybe they will, is bring CM Punk to Wembley Stadium as well, because I think that'll put him also over the top.
Yeah.
After a while, as you know, people get used to things,
Mhm.
and I think he will level off at a certain point. So I liked the show. I thought the show was very fast moving, and it worked. Can they keep it going? That's the whole thing. What about you?
I think the promo was good. I mean, expected. I mean, CM Punk is always solid on the mic. I mean, he's it was a really good return promo for him. I was thinking, and it's a Tony Khan thing. I figured that Tony Khan wanted him to be the resident, good guy, at least for starters, to get that good guy, that baby face pop for him. And he had a bit of an edge. He did kind of shoot a little bit, and I think that's what CM Punk would do. That's definitely CM Punk style. Promo was solid. Luchasaurus winning the title, surprised, but I'm okay with that actually.
My God, if listen, if WWE had Wardlow, he'd be in major contention at this point.
You think so?
He's yeah, he's kind of like the a second coming of. I package him, if it were me, I'd package him as the second coming of Batista. I think he's really good, but I don't know, a guy like that. And I love AEW. This is not a knock, but I don't think they found the right niche for him. He's a guy that shouldn't be knocked down so much. I
I
think
agree.
he needs. I think Arn Anderson with him is terrific, because Wardlow he's a nice guy, but on his interviews, you don't. What his body and his attitude look like in the ring, the voice doesn't match it.
Yeah. I think that's fair to say. Now, here's the thing with AEW to me when it comes to stars. Now they've done a decent job building some, like a Darby Allin and a Jungle Boy, Sam Guevara in a sense. But the thing is, it's just hemorrhaged talent. I mean, like it's just so many people that it's hard to really showcase everybody within 4 hours of television, a week.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have over 100 talent in 4 hours to do it, and not even 4 hours counting commercials. And so it gets really tough. So you're trying, I imagine that, Wardlow and people like Powerhouse Hobbs, another one, they want to showcase them, but Rampage's numbers are so low that they kind of put people into, they kind of shift them over to Rampage. I
The B
remember,
show.
yeah, and it's like I mean, like a quarter million people watch Rampage. So like that's not a lot at all. You know what I mean? And so it's hard to showcase people when a quarter million people are watching it.
Yeah,
So you having people like Keith Lee, for weeks you didn't see Keith Lee on
no,
Dynamite.
not at all.
see Swerve on Dynamite. You didn't even see Jeff Hardy on Dynamite. You made some big Jeff Hardy return, and he was shoved over to Rampage for several weeks. So it's hard to really showcase the talent they want to. And I think that's what they did with Wardlow. It was lightning in a bottle. I'll talk about this all the time. It's all,
I
all
agree. I agree with
you
that.
got to capitalize on those lightning in the bottle moments. It was lightning in the bottle when Wardlow and MJF were feuding against each other. It just seems like
Wardlow could have been Goldberg.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think they dropped the ball immensely on that when they didn't really take that to the point of Wardlow winning the championship. I think they should have carried that out to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming to the WWE as a Batista style character, I think that it has a lot of potential to do that. My only pushback to that would be, would a Batista style character work in today's WWE? What do you think?
I think it definitely would. I think because he's a super heavyweight.
Gotcha.
And if you really look at the people that they're moving right now, Damien Priest is a perfect example of somebody headed to the top. He's got a very good build, and like Damien Priest against Wardlow, something like that.
Sure.
But the fans already caught on to Wardlow as a Goldberg character, as I mentioned, because Wardlow, Goldberg, Wardlow. I'm very anxious.
But it's think about hold that thought for a second. I'm very anxious. Don't forget that. But what's weird about that? I always find this very, very weird. That because I like Goldberg still. People are calling him Oldberg, things like that. That's just it's just a part of Mark's wanting to put themselves over. But it's funny because people chanting Oldberg and they don't like Goldberg. But then you have like a 2013 version, 2023, the 2020s version of Goldberg, and people are chanting Wardlow like Goldberg, and they have very similar styles.
Absolutely.
So I think that's weird. So yeah, you were saying.
But it's interesting to see that to see what's going to happen. Oh, let's go back to CM Punk's ring appearance.
Yeah.
If it were me, I would have put him in a single match. There he was paired with FTR, but they wanted to see, the hot tag. They wanted to see CM Punk. What would you have done?
I think that's a really good thing. His biggest beef that based on stories and things like that, his biggest beef was Kenny Omega. So how do you cash in on that? As far as Kenny Omega is concerned, because both of them are baby faces right now, you got to make a really good story out of it. I don't see Kenny turning heel. If Kenny turned heel, I'm not sure if people really care that much. I think CM Punk as a heel would really spark some interest and really generate some interest and hate, for CM Punk, because that big pendulum swing. If you're the higher you are and higher you're praised, the higher you're going to be hated when you make that turn.
Absolutely.
And so I think with Punk, you need to turn them. So what you need to do is you need to gain reps as much as you can to go against people who are hated. And some of your biggest heels right now is MJF. You want to protect them. But then you have someone like a Christian who's also heavily hated in AEW, and a Christian versus CM Punk, match for the debut of Collision. To me, that would have been fine, because that would have been a good match, a very solid match, and that would have got CM Punk some good steam from a really big hated heel to eventually make his turn. So
absolutely. I loved this week. It totally shocked me. I love being a fan and watching this. The Bloodline story where the Usos totally turned against Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And I mean, the shocking look on Paul Heyman's face had the whole story. And I mentioned on the time machine when we were taping this evening with Teddy Long and Mac Davis, that I think the biggest shock that could happen at this point, because they're going to keep this thing going, it's going to be Solo and Roman against the Usos. What if Paulie went with the Usos? Would you be shocked?
You know, it was so funny because I was just someone was just asking me that question. A really good friend of mine was just asking me that question earlier.
It was me.
It was you, Bill.
It was me.
Along. It was interesting because I was like, how can we extend the life? I know that have we addressed every single facet of the bloodline to eventually cease the angle? I don't think we have, because we haven't seen the angle of Roman Reigns being the babyface.
Yeah.
So that would be a really interesting angle. I don't think you do it now. I think you extend this for a while, for a few months, until like a Survivor Series or something like that. But what would happen, Bill, if Solo and the Usos end up going with Heyman? They demolish Roman Reigns, and this whole time, Paul Heyman was the one who was trying to usurp that power.
He engineered this whole thing.
He was being close to Reigns to usurp that power from the Samoan dynasty, because he was the one who managed the Samoan SWAT team. You know what I mean? He has that lineage, and he
turns his back on people like Brock Lesnar.
That's right, and it would be and that would be really interesting if he was the one who wanted that tribal chief power, and he uses the Usos and Solo for him, and then they beat down Roman. That caused him to take some time off, and then the turn of the year, he comes in, tries to beat up the Usos and Solo. He couldn't do it, and so he needs some help. So the two people who help him are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Well, it could be that, or Booker T, for his Reality of Wrestling, has got Umaga's son making his debut in a few weeks. Yeah. So there are more Samoans out there yet.
Yeah. There is. I think they should. I think the more Samoans should be with Heyman. I think
the Samoan factory.
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be a really interesting turn of events if it's a 6-man, the main event's one of the WrestleMania 40 nights, that it's Roman, Owens, and Zayn against Solo and the Usos. I think that would be really, really interesting.
Well, this coming Money in the Bank, though, I think it would be a shock if one of the Usos pinned Roman Reigns for the finish.
I can see, here's the thing. I can see Jey pinning Roman.
Okay.
And that leading to potentially Jey against Roman at SummerSlam.
Yeah, maybe. Not that he's really, really over. Really.
I don't see him winning it, but I can definitely see Jey versus Roman at SummerSlam. That would be interesting. Because I wouldn't mind doing, because what you can do is you can make that into 2 matches. You can do Jey and Roman, and you can do Jimmy versus Solo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's see what else. Let me peek over here, see what else we got. Again, if you super chat, you guarantee to have your question asked. Otherwise, we're just gonna peek over and see what we got, man. Let's see. Do you think Finn Balor stands any chance at defeating Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank, Bill?
No, I think Finn Balor is great. He's an excellent pro wrestler, and the attack he did on Seth Rollins, I thought was pretty damn good. But I don't see him in that world champion position. I really don't. I think it's not that he doesn't have the talent and everything for it. He just doesn't look that big part of what the world champion should look like. But again, that's my opinion.
Sure. I mean,
what about you?
Both of our opinions. I agree. I don't think he has the look. Now, he could have possibly, if they booked him correctly, he could have looked or been portrayed to be bigger than he is. But I don't think that they've done a good job really protecting his character enough to make him look like a main eventer. Because he wins some matches, he loses some matches. They really haven't done that. And I think he's just fodder right now for Seth, to go down the line to eventually go against someone. We don't even know who that someone is, really.
Or he wins the belt, and then the next big pay-per-view, Cody beats him, and that's where they get the belt on Cody.
That could work. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think what they could do, and I mentioned this before. I think what they could do is, and what they should do, they may not, because LA Knight is such a hot name right now. But I like LA Knight. He's amazing on the mic.
Oh man,
I don't see him as a world champ right now.
The fans are craving.
They are.
Not as a world champion, but they're just craving. I mean, if he wins the Money in the Bank match, and that's the transition to make him a superstar there, I think the people will go bananas. They love him.
See, but you know how the people are, man. That they love you. They love you on Tuesday, but hate you on Thursday, man. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things when it comes to many wrestling fans nowadays. But here's the thing: what I think they can cash in on a couple ways. I don't think they should do this, but I think that they will. I don't like the fact that they're allowing the Money in the Bank winner to go for mid-card championships. That just makes no sense to me. What I think that they'll do is they'll have LA Knight win. It's two things, one of two options when it comes to Money in the Bank. One, they have LA Knight win, and I think that he'll probably cash it in on either Austin Theory or Gunther.
That's exactly. I thought against Gunther because that puts him over in that good guy field.
Correct. So they'll turn them. They're turning
merchandise sells.
Oh, absolutely. So they're turning him as a babyface, and it also protects Gunther because it's kind of a banana peel finish.
Yeah.
So Gunther is fighting someone like a Kevin Owens on a Raw or something like that. It's a hard-hitting match. Gunther barely wins, and all of a sudden LA Knight comes out because that protects Gunther because he's just had a hard-hitting match against Kevin Owens.
Yep.
Then LA Knight comes in and cashes it in, so he'll win the Intercontinental Championship that way, or he can beat Austin Theory. Either way, I think he's going to win it in order to make a babyface turn for the mid-card title. That's one option. The second option is have Damien Priest win, which that would be my pick. I would be in favor of him winning, and then that can continue the animosity between him and Finn Balor.
Oh, absolutely.
That can be a way to turn Damien Priest as a babyface because Balor wasn't able to beat Rollins, but Priest was able to win the Money in the Bank. That causes animosity between Balor and Priest, and then you can have Priest and Balor at SummerSlam.
Absolutely. Sure. I love it. Great ideas.
Awesome, man. Let's see here. Let's do
Look at his eyes scanning all your comments.
Yeah. Let's do ponytail. So do you think that Wardlow's ponytail had a lot to him, his appearance and the change in his appearance had a lot for him to do as far as like lowering his stock?
Lowering his stock? No,
you don't think so? I do think so. I think the ponytail and Wardlow had a lot to. I think that little nuance had a lot to do with his character. Now he's just some, clean shaven, kind of buzz cut.
Oh no, okay, I misunderstood the question. I think he needed the whole ponytail.
I agree.
Oh yeah, made him look more like a He-Man.
Yes.
Character.
Now he just looks like. Now he looks like a personal trainer at your local Planet Fitness or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what he looks like. Great look. I mean, he has a great physique, but I just think that little nuance really helped him.
No, I definitely agree. He doesn't look like the he's too much of a clean cut monster.
Yes,
a monster that you may not be totally afraid of.
Agreed.
Yeah. You want him to look like King Kong.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's do one more question before we head out.
Head out already. My goodness.
Yeah, Just half hour already, man. Let's see here. Let's do someone who haven't asked. Whoever. Oh, this is a good question. This for you, Bill. How did you get the statistics, height and weight, etc., for the PWI Almanac?
Oh, well, back when I was there, I was only there for the first few times. We call the offices. We call the wrestling offices.
Oh, nice.
That, or the wrestlers. And of course, sometimes wrestling weight and true weight or height are, but Haystacks Calhoun was 601.
Okay. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's a great question. But usually I was in touch with the wrestling offices almost every week. And periodically when we couldn't, I didn't do a lot of work on the almanac. There were a whole bunch of editors and people were assigned to different projects. But if we needed to get an office called, it generally was me because they knew me.
Nice. Yeah. All right, my man. Well,
what is your height and weight? See, I don't even. What if we do the unscripted almanac? What?
Nice. I can dig it. We can do it all unscripted.
Where are you? What's the height and weight?
Me, I'm 6'1", 260.
All right. We got the first one for the unscripted almanac.
Jacked up 260, man. Yes, you've seen my
by the way, that'd be a great
workout pics.
That'd be a great name for a wrestler. Jacked up.
Jacked up.
Yeah, somebody's gonna do that. Wardlow, WWE. I'm jacked up.
I am jacked up.
I love it. Let's book it, Dano.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, we have a picture together. Let me see.
We do. I love that photo. We took that in Chillicothe.
We did. What month was that?
August. And I will be there this coming August. I will be back there once again. I can't wait to see my Chillicothe fans and friends.
That was like March or April, right? Maybe February.
I thought it was August.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
I have no sense of time.
They had two. They had two this year, and one in March, maybe.
September. No, there was one. I was at the one in September, I believe it was.
No, well, you might have been, but the one
September 30th. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't there. The one that we were together was in March, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we were there, and there is a photo that exists.
Yes, we were there, and there's a photo that exists. I was trying. Oh, here it is. I found it. March 11th.
We're both pointing.
March 11th.
I insist on pointing in my photos. That's it. That's us.
Yep,
that's us. Yeah. Right. Very cool looking picture.
Yes, indeed.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, my man. Well, Bill, it's always a pleasure, man. Let them know.
My pleasure too.
Yes, indeed. Let them know where to find you, my man.
I'm at Apter. There's no N in it. Like Dusty Rhodes used to call me Willie Hap. No, it's Apter One Wrestling.
Yes,
on Twitter, and I'm also on Facebook. Yep. And don't forget, my book is Wrestling Fixed, Chris.
I never knew it was broken.
Yeah, see, I didn't know it was broken. So I had a bunch of these hats made up.
Yeah.
I figured I'm going to wear it on our show once in a while.
Got my book right over there, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right, man. This guy right here is Bill Apter.
This guy over here is Dr. Chris, and we'll see you
at the matches. Solo.
That's a wrap.